I got diagnosed with breast cancer last Thanksgiving 2025, and I was afraid. I was in shock and I was sad. I The story of my diagnosis, a short story, is just I had been feeling sharp pains in my left breast, especially at night when I was trying to sleep, for months, about 6 months. But I thought it was nothing to worry about. And it wasn't happening often, it was just happening once in a while. And it would start and it would stop. So it wasn't like a persistent pain. So I didn't think it was anything to be worried about, really. And then um, a while, maybe even up to a year or 6 months, I had been feeling kind of a lump or a very tiny, like, mass in my breast, my left breast. Same thing. I thought maybe it was just something clogged. It didn't feel like anything to be worried about. I kept thinking, oh, this would, um, it'll go away. Maybe I just had nothing to worry about. And part of the reason I wasn't worried was there's no history of breast cancer in my family. My mom's still alive. She never had it. Our mom never had it. None of my siblings have it. I have two sisters, and none of them have it. And so it wasn't like in my family history. And I wasn't even up to 40 years old. So I wasn't worried at all. And I'd never had a mammogram. So I just thought, you know, it's nothing to worry about. But then in November, one evening, I was walking to the bathroom at night and my left arm kind of grazed, the side of my left breast. And there was a kind of like a big lump there. It felt like I had a ball in my breast, and I thought I was imagining it because I'm kind of someone that downplays everything. I try my best, not to take things too seriously, not to exaggerate pain. I try to always downplay my pain, no matter like how intense it is or about how bad it is. I just keep trying to downplay it so that I wouldn't be a burden to anyone, and or someone who cries wolf. But when I felt that, I knew something was wrong, and the next day at work, I called my primary care provider and told them what had happened, and they said I should come in. And I went in, and um, they did a physical examination, and they were worried. They felt even more than one lump, and they ordered a mammogram and a biopsy. And I had the mammogram, and then I went for the biopsy at another location. And still, like, I wasn't worried. I thought at most, it would be like a benign mass that could be taken out or something. I just didn't think it would be breast cancer. I just, I just hadn't heard of people who didn't have like a genetic predisposition to it, having it. And I just, I kept downplaying it. I downplay a lot of things, just to keep my sanity. And sadly, the result of the biopsy was what I got on Thanksgiving Day. And they just called and they were like, sorry, it's positive. You have breast cancer. You need to get a surgeon as soon as possible and start treatment. And I was just like, I kind of froze. I was in shock. I was like, they're definitely talking about someone else. You know, I was so, I don't have the words to say how I felt. I just kind of shut down internally and I just didn't know what to do. I'm kind of like a very quiet person and I kind of internalize pain or stress or anxiety or anything. I internalize it. I'm not kind of like an outward. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say, but I held it all in. But I was afraid, and I didn't know what my future was going to look like and what I was about to go through, but I had it, and my reaction was just weird. I kind of numbed myself out and just refused to cry, refused to react maybe the way a normal person would react to such a news. But that was it. And um, after that, it took them a while. I got a referral to another hospital, a big hospital where I live, and there it took a while for them to schedule me to see a surgeon. And when I met the surgeon eventually months later, um, I was told that they're gonna do a partial mastectomy, and that because of the fact that I cut it early, they were gonna skip chemo most likely because they believed the surgeon said she believed that she could get all of it in surgery and I wouldn't need chemotherapy and I would just go straight to radiation. Um, However, I had my surgery, the partial mastectomy, in January and this year, and they got all the margins, but there was just a little left, so they didn't get everything, sadly. And also, they wanted to do like the surgeon sent something like what she got from the cancer cells she got from my body. She took sent it to like the lab for them to test it for the oncotype and to see. I think like the oncotype testing is kind of to see the risk of it reoccurring, maybe like in 10 years' time or something like that. Kind of like just to see the risk of metastasis or reoccurrence. And so when they did that, the oncotype score was kind of high. And because of that, it was required for me to go through chemotherapy. So I went through chemotherapy. I think I started in February. Um, I went through 4 cycles of chemotherapy, and it was February or March this year, and it destroyed me. It was awful. I lost all my hair, and my fingernails were damaged. There was just so much. There was a lot they took from me. It was rough. It was very rough, and but I got through it, and I after the 4 cycles, which ended last month, I think. Yeah, it ended in June. I Yeah. After that, I just started radiation at the end of June, and I'm still going through radiation. No, it started this month, actually, the 7th of this month. I'm still going through radiation. They're being aggressive with my radiation, and I'm going every day, every weekday, Monday to Friday, um, from for 4 weeks. So I'm 2 weeks in, so I have 2 more weeks to go. And I think after radiation, they might do some testing to see maybe the results of all the treatment. And I think they also said that I have to be on a drug after all of this, an estrogen blocker, because the type of breast cancer I have is an estrogen positive um, breast cancer. And so they're going to put me on an estrogen blocker for the next 5 years. I think the drug is called tamoxifen. So, yeah, that has been my year. And that's not been a fun year at all, you know. My entire year has been cancer treatment. But I've cried a lot on this journey. I refused, I think, at the beginning to give in to depression. which is something I've struggled with my entire life. I just didn't want to go there at all. I just wanted to face this battle without depression. I didn't want to fight two monsters, you know. And I found a way to keep it somewhere, I guess. I don't know how I did it, but I I chose desperately to see the positive in this. I feel lucky to have caught it early. I feel lucky that there's a treatment for it and that it's not killing me, you know. I feel lucky to be alive. I feel lucky for the experience. It's not what anyone would want, but at the same time, I feel lucky to have mustered the strength to go through this and to come out, I believe, stronger at the end of it. So that's kind of the summary of my cancer journey. And um, this video is called My Sad 340-pound Life. Yes, I currently weigh 340 pounds. So this part of the video kind of talks about my weight. I've talked about the cancer. Um, when I was younger, I believe maybe I was like when I was a kid, you know, I believe I was kind of chubby, and I had other issues, physical issues, like with my legs, and kids used to make fun of me, and I didn't have any friends, and there was so much that went on during my childhood. Um, so much I don't want to say like in the video, but there was a lot of like physical abuse at home and in school. Um, in school, I schooled in Nigeria. That's where I was born. I'm Nigerian, and I went through that a lot as a kid. It was a lot for my brain to handle. It was a lot. I wanted to escape my life, you know, that young. But um, there were other kinds of abuse, verbal abuse, and a lot of things that went on during my childhood. But I think before I move on to my weight, I think I just want to kind of make a correlation back to the cancer. When when I was in high school, I went to a Catholic high school, and um, you weren't allowed to like have long hair. We had to cut our hair, and I had like really long hair, and um, my hair was growing, and I was kind of trying to hide it under the beret. We used to wear like a beret with our school uniform, and um, I didn't want to cut it anymore, so it was growing, you know, but it was like enough for me to like press it down, and it was just there. But um, the principal, she was a nun, and I think she noticed it, and then she took me to her office, and she told me to like kneel down, and she took a scissors while physically beating me up, cut everything right there, and that kind of traumatized me. Um, but it wasn't the worst of the physical abuse I've experienced in my life, but it really traumatized me. So I'm mentioning that because that's kind of like one of three times I've lost my hair. So the second time was, I think, in 2022. I had gone through a cholecystectomy surgery, so my gallbladder was taken off, and it was also traumatic. It was terrible. I had emergency surgery, you know, and after the surgery and all of that, and I was on my own. I have no one, and it was here in the U.S. After that, I just wanted to color my hair blonde. I wanted to just look different, and when I did that, oh, because I did it at home, I didn't even like. go to a salon to do it. Big mistake. All my hair fell off. And that was not good, you know. But I was like, oh no, not again. So I lost my hair in 2022. And then this was the third time I've lost my hair. So I take the blame for one of it. But the other two, I think it's kind of just life circumstances. And yeah, what you gonna do? But so back to my weight. So when I became a teenager, so when I mentioned my legs, I had there's something called rickets, where your legs kind of are bowed, like bowed legs, and I had the one of the worst cases you could think of. It was really bad as a kid in Nigeria. Oh my God, it was terrible. I was traumatized. I don't like using the word traumatized because I feel like it's bastardized now, but yeah, it wasn't good for me as a kid, you know. And my parents were kind of desperate to fix me, and they wanted to like see if they could do surgery to straighten my legs. And you know, but my granddad, my mom's mom, was like, no, she's gonna grow into it. That she's it's gonna straighten as she grows. And he kind of like combated them not to do any extreme surgery to straighten my legs, you know, and he won. And so they didn't. And interestingly, I grew taller, and my legs straightened as I grew taller. And and as that was happening, I became like quite thin. I was trying to put a picture, if I find one, of me at around the age of like 12, 11, 12. And I grew quite thin or slim. And yeah, so that's the only time my teenage years before I turned maybe 18. Yeah, those were the years where I was relatively slim. And but after that, the weight started coming. As I adding weight, especially in my belly, my stomach. I just had belly fat, and it kept growing. So through the years, I have been compounding weight. You know, my weight keeps going up and up and up, and but it's kind of been like a slow progression. But when I moved to the US, it wasn't slow anymore. It became a very fast progression, and before I knew it, in 2021 October, I bought a scale of Amazon, and I weighed myself, and the scale showed me 375 pounds. I was beyond shocked. I I was stunned. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was panicking, and I think that got worse because like during the pandemic, I worked from home. I didn't go anywhere. I just stayed in my studio apartment, and I never had any reason to leave my building, you know, and I would like Instacart my groceries, Amazon things I needed. I never, ever, ever had any reason to leave my apartment. So I had not walked, you know, like a 5 minute walk in a very long time. So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. So I had been big for like since all through my 20s. And I was in my 30s now. And I was in my mid 30s, and the weight was coming like crazy. And I couldn't walk. Like a 5 minute walk, I'll be breathless when I finally wanted to walk. So I just kind of Googled, what do I do? You know, how do I lose the weight? And I kind of saw intermittent fasting, and I saw walking. And those were the two strategies I took to lose the weight. And I started walking. I did 5 minutes at first, and then I could do 10 minutes. And as time went on, eventually I was able to do 120 minutes. So I would go out for a long walk, a very long walk. I would not come back till I got my 10,000 steps, you know. And then when I went back to work, I would use my lunch break for walking. I would use any breaks I had for walking. After work, I would walk. And the type of fasting I chose was is eating one meal a day. So this was like me eating everything and anything and doing absolutely no exercise. There was just this massive switch to the other way, and I I was eating only dinner. So after work, I would eat dinner at 6, and that would be my only meal. I did that for 5 months, and I lost 60 pounds. And that was when my gallbladder acted out, and I had to have the surgery to remove my gallbladder. And that kind of derailed me. And long story short, the lowest weight I ever saw was in 2024, 248 pounds. I mean, in my adult life, um, I 248 pounds. So I had lost over 100 pounds since 2021 to 2024. And then all of a sudden, all the weight started coming up. And last year, I gained it all back. And now I'm 340 pounds. So since 2024 to now, I have gained 100 pounds back. And that's that's mentally draining. It's uh it's frustrating to say the least. It's disheartening. You kind of feel like a failure. You feel like all the hard work you put in was for nothing. And I did work hard. I like overhauled my eating, you know. I was eating healthy. I was doing all the right things that I should do. Even when I stopped fasting. So when I stopped fasting, that's when the weight would come back up. And I would resume fasting, I would lose some weight. If I stopped, it would come back up. And then in my life, even though I'd been big my entire life, I'd never struggled at all with binge eating. I started struggling with binge eating. And this weight loss story was the first time in my life I ever committed to losing weight. Other times I would just kind of starve myself or try, stupid things. But this was the first time I wanted to do the good things to do. No soda, drink water, eat vegetables, fruits, protein, all of that. I did all of that. But yeah, the weight came back up. And I can be honest with myself for the reasons why the weight came back up. The weight came back up because after all those years of dieting, I don't know if my body felt like I was starving it or like, I don't know the reason, but the hunger came back with a vengeance. So no matter what I ate, no matter how much I ate, I would never feel full, you know. So if I never felt full or satisfied, I would keep eating and eating and eating. That's how the weight came back. Because I would always be hungry. I would have breakfast, I would sit and have breakfast. An hour later, I'll be hungry. And I eat protein, a lot of protein. I eat fiber, a lot of fiber. So all the things I know that would keep you full, all the things that I know that I should do, I drink a ton, and a ton of water. And I walk. And, but I'd come to a place where the hunger would not stop, it would not cease. And this relentless hunger made me gain back all the weight I had lost. And even interestingly, um, when the weight loss stopped in 2024, I started seeing a dietitian immediately, at the beginning of 2025 to help me. And everything I'm saying here, I said to her, and I needed help and directions. And every day I would upload all the meals I was eating up to her and send it to her, and she would see it. So at our next meeting, she'd be like, "Oh, you're doing good. Oh, yeah. Where's the protein? Where's the fiber? Where's the carbs?" She'd just look for everything on my plate. and she would give me corrections and tell me what to do for an entire year. So all of last year, I was seeing this dietitian, and my weight just kept going up and up and up. And I was like also in therapy, I was seeking help in any way, you know, but nothing helped. And that's why I'm where I am today. And, you know, when I got my cancer diagnosis, I blamed myself because I knew like the risks of being obese. No one in my family has breast cancer, but I do. And it's funny because I was fighting diabetes. Diabetes runs in my family, and it was the one disease I was like, I'm not getting this disease, you know. And I didn't know there was already cancer in my body. So I was fighting one disease that I knew that I had a genetic predisposition to, but I didn't know there was another disease already in me that I did not even see coming. And that was a big shock for me. And in 2022, I was told I was pre-diabetic, when I had the gallbladder surgery. But when they said it, I was like, what? But then I wasn't too worried because I was fasting aggressively and I knew that I could reverse it. And I did. And till today, I'm no longer pre diabetic, So I did not want to go anywhere near diabetes. I was fighting against it. I was like, I'm going to lose this weight. I'm not going to be diabetic. But there was another dragon to slay. I was focusing on one dragon, but there was another dragon to slay. And it makes me sad. Like, I see a lot of like the fat positivity people. I see people who accept and love themselves being obese. I've never been one of them. And there's kind of like a definite reason for me. It's not healthy. No matter what anyone says, for me, it's not healthy. It's difficult for me to walk. Like I walk, but I'm in pain while walking. So when I do those 10,000 steps, it almost feels like what it would feel like to like a healthy person running. So it's painful for me, but I still do it. It's physically painful, but I still do it. But I know that if I wasn't this weight, it wouldn't be as painful to just walk. But it's painful to walk, and I walk. It's painful just existing, just being alive. It's painful. Standing, I can't stand. If I stand for long periods of time, I'm in pain. When I'm in the kitchen, cutting my vegetables, and because I cook all my meals, I'm in pain. Just basic tasks, cleaning the apartment, I'm in pain. Just existing is painful. And it's like I have back pain, I have sleep apnea, and the doctors had to put me on a CPAP. I never wanted that. I was fighting it for so many years. They're like, oh, you have sleep apnea. I was like, I'm going to lose all the weight. I'm not going on that. I kept fighting it. And now I'm on it. When they told me how severe, it's moderate to severe, but when they told me, like, you stop breathing about 18 times or 20 something times each night, when they did the sleep study, I was like, oh my God, and they were like, you've not had a decent sleep in decades because you stop breathing so many times. And because all my life I used to Google, since I was a teenager, I used to Google or search for, why am I always tired? I used to ask, like, why am I always tired? Because I was always fatigued. No matter how much sleep I got, I would always be tired. My head would be foggy. But it was just the constant, cutting of oxygen to my brain each night so many times. And I struggled with nightmares. I used to have so many nightmares. It made me so depressed. Like, I was like, why am I having these nightmares? Almost every night I would have terrible nightmares. But since I've been using the CPAP machine, I've not had nightmares in a very long time. And even if I do, it's not as severe as it used to be, and it's not as often. So it's now like, I'm like, were all those nightmares, I don't know for sure, but I ask myself, were all those nightmares just because of oxygen deprivation to my brain? I suffered for decades with nightmares, and in short, I'm not even sure. I thought they were night terrors. I kept Googling what's the difference between nightmares and night terrors, and from what I saw, it seemed more like I was having night terrors. I wasn't sure. I didn't know, and and I would even talk to my therapist about it. I would talk to my dietitian. Even I was like my PCP. I was talking to every doctor or anyone professional I could talk to. I was like, I'm having nightmares, you know, and but when I got on the CPAP machine, it's drastically reduced, and that's kind of like an improvement in my quality of life. But I don't want to be on a CPAP machine for the rest of my life. So, being obese at 340 pounds, obese woman, life is not good. Life is mostly sad for me. I can't, like, on a plane, I don't fit in well, and I ask for seatbelt extenders. And because of that, I don't want to travel, you know. And even in cars, I struggle with putting the seatbelt in, you know. And there's just so much. I can't say all the struggles I have, you know, with being this big, but there's a lot of them, so many of them. And I'm not enjoying my life. And I'm getting older, and the years just keep going and going, but I don't do much. I don't have hobbies. It's not that someone my size can't have hobbies or do a lot of things or have friends and all of that. They absolutely can, and they do. But I don't. I lay in bed a lot, you know. I go out for my walks and all that, but when I go to work and everything, but I spend a lot of time in bed, and I'm very acutely aware of how much of my life is passing me by while I'm waiting for someday where all the weight can be taken away from me, but physically, mentally, and in every way, where I can be free. But I feel kind of caged in this body, and I keep asking myself, why can't I escape? How do I get out? How do I come out of this? I'm the one doing this to myself. And I know, like, there are other hormonal issues going on. I was diagnosed with PCOS, insulin resistance, fatty liver. All of that is contributing to that increased ravenous hunger I keep having, you know. And a lot of times I would just go aggressive because if I'm just dieting, the weight's not coming off. It either stays the same or it goes up, but it just doesn't come off. And I'll just go aggressive, and for like 2 weeks I would cut my calories so much, and I would lose so much weight. And of course, biology always wins, and the body comes back with a vengeance, and then I eat and I gain all the weight and some, you know. And I have this yo-yo dieting, and it makes me so sad. And I feel like a failure, and I feel helpless, and it makes my existence sad. Being tired all the time, breathing heavily while you're just sitting down, while you're lying down, you're breathing like you're running. When I got my diagnosis and I was going to start treatment, for the first time in my life, I got a gym membership. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna exercise through chemo. I'm gonna lose a lot of weight. I'm gonna do all that. But I gained 30 pounds during chemo because chemo kicked my ass and I was in bed. I couldn't walk. I had extreme neuropathy on my feet and I had to. I stopped walking and even though my taste buds were dreadful, I still managed to put on 30 pounds during chemo. And I was like, everyone loses weight during chemo. Who the hell had weight during chemo? I did. Yeah, that's been my life and my journey. And I don't have any friends. When I speak of everything, I'm just talking about my life and my experience. A lot of obese people and overweight people have a ton of friends. They have good relationships. They have everything. Some people don't feel pain. They feel great, and the life could be totally different from my life. But my life, it's been brutal. And what's interesting is when I was younger, I had little to no interest in life because I was battling severe depression. But now that I'm older, I managed to defeat depression to an extent. I don't know. I can't tell you how, but I just got to a place where things are better. Things don't seem so bad, as bad as it used to seem in my head. And so I decided, I was like, oh, I want to leave. I want to be happy. I want to travel. I want to do things. I want to be alive. I want to feel alive. And that was my state of mind. But at that point was when my weight started creeping up massively. At that point, health issues began, and it's kind of like by the time I was ready to leave, life wasn't ready for me. When life was ready for me, I wasn't ready for life. And now that I'm ready for life, life is kind of not ready for me. And I'm struggling in every way. And I'm sad most days, but it's kind of like surface level sad. I think like how I would describe it is I usually describe depression like an ocean or being in an ocean. So right now I'm kind of just floating. My head is below the water, but I can like come up for air. It's not too bad. But when I struggled with depression years ago, I was deep, deep, deep underwater. I was like at the bottom of the ocean. And no one knew I was there. And no one was coming to save me. And I couldn't save myself. But I don't know how I managed to come up for her. And but I'm struggling, and the water is above my head now, but I still am easily able to come up for air. That's kind of it. I am starting this channel to share my story. My name is Jennifer. I write poetry. I'm a poet. I've been writing poetry since I was a kid. And I've written 4 books and 4 poetry books, and it's been a while I wrote poetry. I love poetry, but I've not been able to find a way to make a living from it. So I I work. Right now I'm not working because the treatment and all that and so much more. But once I'm done with treatment, I plan on going back to work. And I have 2 degrees. I have my bachelor's in economics and I have my master's degree in business. So that's I work. Um, that's how I work to make my living. But I really wish I could find a way to make my living through writing so that I don't have to do the 9 to 5. But I have not found a way. And yeah, that's a little about me. I will reveal more of myself through as I post more videos, and I'll talk about writing. I would try to do like vlogs and show a day in my life. I would talk about any and everything and talk about my journey. So I'm gonna lose this weight. I am considering many options of what to do, and I would keep you updated on what I do to lose the weight. I have to lose the weight. Obesity is kind of like I think they call it a comorbidity, yeah, comorbidity to so many other diseases, and to also reduce the risk of reoccurrence, I need to lose the weight um, and keep it off. I can lose I can lose the weight, though not easily, but keeping it off is another issue, And my goal weight is something in the 100s, mid 100s. I'm not sure, but I just want to be healthy and be able to enjoy life. And I want to take you on this journey of finding myself and, I don't know, finding my purpose, finding my life. And I hope you come with me. I will share more of myself and more of my story and more of my daily life in the videos to come. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening to my story. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. I would really like you to be part of my channel. And thank you once again. I'm sorry if the story was boring, or I'm sorry if I'm struggling. I really wanted to do a first video and I didn't know how to do it. And I was like, if I keep waiting, I would never do it. So I just pulled out the camera and did the story. And I hope it's good enough. I hope you come back. Please subscribe and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.